everyone, welcome back to Kat's Book Corner, where we talk about all things book and bookish. Now we're on the part 2 of my reading blog with Onyx Storm. In my last video, we stopped at chapter 33, so it'll be 33 to 35. So only really 2 chapters we're going to be talking about in this one. And then it'll be the same as it always is, 5, all the rest of it. I just thought I would stop in the center of the book and then continue. But as I said in the last video, I am really, really liking it. It is getting really, really good. It's still not as great, for me at least, as Iron Flame. I loved Iron Flame so much. This is still really good. It's still probably going to be a 5-star. It just hasn't done what Iron Flame has done yet. So, I mean, I still have hope. There's still half the book left, so we'll see. But let's get into chapter 33. This is about the queen wanting dragons for them to help. And they're like, yeah, absolutely not. And then she's like, you let them grow. And they don't have, they're too arrogant. And Taryn is like, I will show her arrogance. And they're like, and then she's like, it's not necessary, Taryn. We're not doing this. But there was that. And of course, she can't ask the question about why someone has similar hair to her because, well, they have a fragile sort of trusting at the moment. So asking questions I don't really think would have been met with the answer she would have wanted. So I understand that. Oh, and Kat and Traeger are they're actually kind of together. And I love that for Kat. Kat's finally moving on from Xaden. I really do love that. They get to another island, which is fine, because they said they were, not going back to check in with their people. They were just going to fly from island to island until they found what they needed. So, they're on a different island now. And Xaden is like, Drake, you're starting to annoy me. You should stop that. And, his voice sounds different. He's losing the emotion that's normally in his voice. And Garrick and, Violet are like, this isn't good. We need to, fix this right now. So they all give over lower glances, and they meet one of the what's his name? What is it? It's such a funny name. Where is it? Oh, Ferris of the Second Triumvirate, and then we find out that his wife is Xaden's mother. His mom is here. That's not good. And, Xaden is not talking to her. Xaden is hiding in his bedroom. And Violet has to answer the door when she's, talking to him. And then there's this thing where she says, I was so young when he was born, still so young when the contract expired. Even if the contract expired, why did she leave? Was it because Fen didn't like her? Because why would she leave? I don't understand why she left, even if it was a contract. And then Taryn suggests for her to tell him. Tell her the truth. Tell her he loathes her, as does Sigale. The life giver is lucky she wasn't scorched this morning, though I do believe Sigale is still contemplating her options. Sigale even hates his mom, because Sigale knows him. Sigale is basically the mom that chose him and stayed with him even after everything. Sigale hates this woman, even though Xaden can't hear her at the moment. He just thinks she's in pain from not having magic right now. But no, she's in pain for Xaden, because Xaden is in pain because his mom is here. Ugh. And then she's like, I can give you what you need. I can give you a meeting with the rest of the Triumvirate if my son comes to dinner with me. And this is what Violet says. What I need is for Xaden to be alright. If that means setting this house on fire and leaving without accomplishing anything else on this isle, then I'll hand him the torch. She does not care. If Xaden is not happy, they will leave this island right now, which is so what he said to her in the last book. He's like, I would sacrifice Arisha if it meant I could save you. So, they are so in love with each other. And even her mom was like, really? He would give up Arisha for you? Fen would never. And then I'm like, yeah, because he's not Fen. He loves her so much. And then she goes to talk with Xaden, who's hiding. Like, he's, like, literally, like, hiding. And it's so funny that he's hiding. Because I know why he's hiding. Because he doesn't want to see his mom. Because he doesn't really trust her. And he doesn't want to see her because of after everything. And he finds the potions that she had that cuts off your connection to your dragon and your abilities. And he's like, I'm glad you have them. You don't owe me an explanation. Like, if I get too close, if I can hurt you, I want you to use them on me. Like, ugh. So sad that he doesn't fully trust himself. And I get why he doesn't. And Sigale is, like, just circling. And she says, Taryn, why don't you go tell her to hunt with the others? And he's like, feel free to ask. I'll watch. Be sure you know the water so you can put yourself out when she sets you on fire. Yeah, because Sigale's not leaving until she knows that Xaden's alright. Which, ugh. And then he's like, I have better things to do at night without seeing my mother. And then, like, they talk about, like, getting together again, you know, intimately. And she's like, we can't, Xaden, because we have to do this. We have to do this type of thing. But right as he's like, no danger of losing control here. But the losing control is what Violet loves. She loves when their abilities clash with each other, when they can, like, talk to each other in their mind. She loves the rawness that when they're at home, this happens. But Xaden doesn't trust himself to do it there. So. Ugh. And then we see Cat and Tiger just walking down the beach, holding hands. Oh, I really loved that. Because she's finally moving on. And then Xaden gets a little frustrated at Violet, which I get. Because he's asking her if he should talk to his mom. She's like, I'm not the person to give you advice on this, Xaden. And she's like, why? Because he charmed you in the 3 minutes she went to go get us food. I'm like, because my mom just died. I'd give anything to have 10 minutes to talk to my mom. So I'm not the best person to give you advice on your mommy issues. And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry, Violet. And she's like, I know. She doesn't push him. And then she says, how does she deserve my 10 minutes when she fed me chocolate cake on my 10th birthday and vanished that night? Like, that's why his favorite food is chocolate cake? Because he had it the day before his mom left on his 10th birthday and then she was just gone? His mother is awful. I can't stand her already, and I barely know her. And then Xaden says, really heartbreaking. Ugh. He says, don't think it has anything to do with this. And he points to his eyes, like, becoming venom. I'm aware in the moments I lack emotion. You and Garrick don't need to share those little oh-no glances. I already feel it. It's like sliding down a frozen lake. Well, I've barred it away, and those feelings are right beneath the surface. But fuck is skating faster and a hell of a lot messy. This shit is messy and painful and infuriating. If I could choose to give this portion of myself away, so help me Malik, I would. I get it now. It's not just the power that's addicting. It's the freedom of not feeling this. Like, he doesn't want to feel these emotions. He doesn't want to feel the pain that is being caused because of his mom. He just wants it to go away, which is heartbreaking that he would willingly fracture his own soul if he didn't have to feel the abandonment that he's feeling. Ugh. But then she turns to him, she's like, say it right now, and we'll leave. We don't need to be here, Xaden. We can find another island. We don't need to be here. But he's like, fine. I'll go have dinner with my mother. If it can help us with everything else. Ugh. And then we find out that his mom had 2 other kids on this island. That's why she didn't come back. Because she already had kids over here. Well, she had them after Xaden, obviously. But, like, she built a whole family. That's why she didn't come back. And then Violet says to Xaden, don't barter it away. The pain, the mess, give it to me. I'll hold it. I know it sounds ludicrous, but I'll find a way. I will hold everything you don't want to feel because I love every part of you. Like, she doesn't want to lose Xaden just because he doesn't want to feel these things. She wants him to feel these things because that makes him her Xaden. It's, ugh. And he says, getting greedy violence. Ugh, and it's so beautiful, like, of how much they love each other. after everything, how much they're willing to give to each other. It's just, I love it so much. And then she's bringing down this vial from Orisha that her brother gave her, and she's going to mix it in to the food. So I'm wondering, is she gonna poison his mother? Because if so, I full-heartedly support this. Violet, you can poison Xaden's mother. Yes, go. So I'm a little excited for that, but we're on to 35, and I will see you again when we get to 40. Right, bye. Okay, I'm back with 30 to 40, and I've gotten this close to crying because of what happened at the end of, no, actually at the beginning of chapter 39. I was that close to crying. So if that's any consolation of what's probably going to happen, there it is. But that dinner with Xaden's mom, which isn't great. And then Xaden's like, is your fear that I'll embarrass you, Mom, because I'm not smart enough? It's just like, he really hates her, and it's not good. And then they're like, well, we have a bunch of royals here. Kat's a royal, and you're a royal, pointing to Eric. And he's like, my brother will be king, though a horrible one. Heirs and alliances aren't my concern. I will fight in this war, most likely die, and do so knowing that I protected others. Like, that's so great for Arik, because he knows full well he's probably going to die doing everything that he's doing, and he knows that his brother will not make a good king, but he knows that, and he's fully accepting it, even if it is kind of heartbreaking. And then Xaden's mom is asking about his love life with Violet, but Kat jumps in and is like, for God's sake, I said yes to him, he said no to me, he met Violet, and now they're them. They happen to be two of the most powerful rivals on the continent, so in that way his alliance with her is perhaps wiser. The two of them could break and reshape the continent if they chose. And besides, I'm with someone else now, which I loved for Kat. I loved that she was with someone who actually wanted to be with her. Oh, I loved that. But I do like that she stuck up for Violet and Xaden in this conversation. She's like, they're perfect together, even if she doesn't say that part out loud. And then they're like, a contract marriage will be wise for the Duke. So Xaden is like, sure, draw out the papers. And then we're like, what is he doing? What is he doing? And they're like, 3-4 years? And he's like, a lifetime. Anything less is unacceptable. And her name is Violet Sorengale, with 2 R's for the paper. She's like, if I'm marrying anyone, it's gonna be Violet. And I love it. And she's like, I'm gonna kill him, or I'm gonna kiss him. And she doesn't know. And then he says to her, my last name is tied to the title, but we could take yours. And then Garrick's like, you could hyphenate, or combine Rorengale, Sorensen. Which I loved, because he was like, if you don't want to be a Ryerson, I'll be a Sorengale. It was amazing. I really did like it. And let's see. His mom was like, surely you could just wait 3 years to be with her for the good of Terenzidir. He's like, I don't care. Like, she is what I want. And then she's like, you cannot contemplate the things I've had to sacrifice for Terenzidir. I lost my father, my freedom, we know what he's probably going to say, but he doesn't. He cuts himself off because we know he's going to say probably his soul. Violet is the choice I've made for myself. I won't sacrifice her for 3 years, not for a single day. You will know that if you hadn't abandoned me for all. And then she says, I didn't leave you. Your dad wouldn't let me take you. I'm like, you could have stayed. You didn't have to leave. So annoying. And then they keep questioning them, and Myra's like, the interview ended before it began. You don't care that Violet is the smartest person in this room, or that Xaden tore apart Baghdad to save her, then returned to fly for Nevadir because it's the right thing to do, or that Kat lives in the most hostile environment possible to help her kingdom, and you don't care that Arik has stepped into the light that he hates, so that we'd have a royal representative or that Garrick has stood by Xaden's side no matter the cost. We proved our lack of wisdom by coming here in the first place. You were never going to share your knowledge or ally yourself with us. Which, go mirror, that is an incredibly, thought out speech. It's true. Everything that she said. Violet is most likely the smartest person in this room. Xaden would fight everything for Violet. Cat's in danger just by being a Griffin Rider with the Dragon Riders. Eric doesn't want to be in the limelight. He doesn't want to be a prince. It's just, I love it so much. And then they're asking Eric, so you're the highest member of nobility in your party? And the decision isn't up to you? And then Eric is like, nobility doesn't play into rank, at least not for me. And Darna chose Violet. And then there are 4 superior ranked officers with us. It's Violet's mission. She's in command, with the exception of her rather questionable taste in men. I've trusted Violet's wisdom since childhood. Because he trusts Violet. He knows that she will make the right decision for the good of everything. He knows almost everything there is to know about Violet, except for the one thing that Violet can't tell anyone. But I love that he's putting so much of his confidence in Violet as he's talking. And apparently his mom has been hoarding chocolate for weeks. She knew they were coming. The surprise on her face at the beach, nope, wasn't surprised at all. Everyone knew they were coming. They knew they were coming. And then they poisoned this chocolate cake. And Garrick eats it. And Garrick is poisoned now, which sucks. He's choking, and Xaden is so he's not breathing. Xaden is it's not good. So Violet has to figure it out how to do it. And he's like, Violet, and she's like, I won't let him die, I promise. And then she's talking to Ferris, the guy in charge. He's like, what are you gonna do? I'm not gonna tell you. He's like, or this is the part where you threaten me? She's like, I don't need to, you're already dying. And she's like, wait, what? I've already killed you, Violet says. You breathe just fine, and then you'll vomit everything out until you die. And he's like, I watched everything you drank. She's like, you drank the tea that I provided, did you not? Oh, that was such a good line. I really loved it. And then they're like, how do you know we won't find you and kill you in your rooms if we won't find the antidote? She's like, I wish you best of luck. You have mediocre guards. I have 10 lethally trained riders and flyers, 4 griffins, and 7 pissed off dragons. The odds are in my favor. Oh, I loved that. So then they have to go and deal with the cook and figure out what it is. And then this cook tries to stab Riddick, which almost scared me for a second because I thought, are we going to lose Riddick? But we didn't. He does something really funny so we find out that he didn't get stabbed. But then there was this excerpt at the top of 37. I wish you and Sawyer were with us. I'm grateful to have Riddick, even if his sarcasm is wearing on Myra's last nerve. Recovered correspondence from Cadet Soaringale to Cadet Rihanna Mathis. But Riddick, it only stabbed his flight jacket, and he's like, asshole, I have 4 uniforms and only 1 effing flight jacket. I hate sewing. It stabbed his flight jacket. She's like, now I have to fix it, and I don't want to fix it, which is so me. I don't want to fix anything that I break. Oh, I love Riddick. But then she kind of hugs him. He's like, yeah, I love you too, V, but we have to go. And then she's like, yeah, I know what they put in the cake, so we gotta go figure out what they put in the cake. And then they give him the antidote that he has, and then she says to this guy, you better pray to Hedon or whoever listens that you were not as clever as you thought you were, because the only way he is going to let you out of this alive. And then he's like, why would I hope that Garrick comes out and kills me? And then she's like, not Garrick, Xaden. Sigel is widely known as one of the most ruthless dragons in Nevadir, and she chose him for a reason. And then Xaden lets the uncontrollable part of himself take control and is going to kill them. And he looks different again. He doesn't look like himself again. But then she goes to him and says, get off the ice, pull your shit together, and come back to me, because I need you. Not this. you. And it causes him to step back for a minute, and he comes back, so he lets him go. So she's able to, like, to talk him down just a bit. I mean, it scares the other people, like Dane and Riddick, who have seen him like this. They haven't seen him like this before, but this is the first time they're seeing it, so it's kind of startling to them. So they get out of here, and then the guy's like, you still think I won't shoot you down when you fly away? She's like, you won't. And he's like, why not? Because you love your sons, right? You can see there's only 6 dragons out there. I said 7. One of them is watching your sons so that we can leave unharmed. And if we don't, your sons will get scorched. He's like, they're children. He's like, do you really want to risk the mercifulness I have? Ah, oh, so good. And then he finally, like, looks at her for real. He's like, the eyes. I should have recognized your eyes. You're Asher Daxon's girl. Apparently, they all know Asher. Why has Asher been on all of these islands? And when was he on all of these islands? But yeah. Then they fly to this last island, and there's, like, a little bit of magic on this one. Like, they can actually feel it. All the dragons can talk to their riders again, and her and Xaden can, like, communicate again, and it's... I love that part. And then right in her head, he hears hi there from Xaden, and she's like, hi. And they're like, oh, they're so connected again, and I love it. Oh, it's so cute. I really do love it. And then he tells her, don't ever get in front of me and that guy and Riddick again, because if you do, I could have hurt you. I didn't know what I was doing. She's like, I trust you. Even when you're not yourself, I trust you. You're not gonna hurt me. I'm able to get you down. Like, she's like, Xaden, I will always get in front of you when it comes to my friends, because I can protect them from you, because I love you and you would never hurt me. And then she's like, you want me to kill you, right? So I will decide when it's too dangerous for me to approach you. Which, it's so good. And then she says, you are a giant battle flag waving in the wind right now, Xaden, but you're my battle flag. And you do the same thing if you were in my position, which is so true. He would do the exact same thing if Violet was turning venom. But I really liked that. But, like, the way that they were just finally talking. Like, able to talk to each other again. Let's see, where was I? And then Riddick is like, oh, don't mind them. They're back to doing whatever they do. Which they ignore everyone around them and pretend they're the only people in existence, because he sees them, like, just talking back and forth. Not really talking, he just sees them looking at each other, and he's like, oh, they're talking again. Which, I love Riddick. He's so fun. And apparently these people, we find out Eric again speaks this language, and Daniel's like, why am I here? It's so funny. I love it so much. So they actually talk, and then she's like to Eric, why don't you just didn't tell us that you could speak all these languages? And he's like, and nullify Atos' reason for joining? What is Riddick call us? The Quest Squad? No. I'd let everyone know that I would speak of these languages. I love that he's just being like, yeah, no, why would I do that? I like the frustration that Dean has, to be fair. So the only way they're going to get an audience with the queen here, or the king, I don't remember which one it is, but they have to accept these gifts and thank them for it, no matter what they are. Yeah. Which is why I'm angry at this whole thing. So they all get, like, weird gifts and stuff. Like, Myra gets wine, Dane gets a slap, and she's like to Xaden, don't laugh. She's like, I'm more worried about the implications of the hit, and a little jealous of the woman who delivered it. Like, he's jealous of the girl who hit Dane, because he's like, I want to hit him. Which I love. That was great. Let's see what else happens. Oh, Riddick gets a kiss on both his cheeks, which is nice. And Drake gets a cat. Oh, it's so cute, the cat. But then Traeger gets up for his gift, and he got the arrow, and they shoot him right in the heart, and he dies. I don't like that. This is the part I almost cried at. I guess it's the end of 38, but we don't really get the conflict resolution until 39. But like, and Kat is just screaming because she loved him. Oh, like Drake is like covering her mouth because you can't not thank these people for the gift. You wouldn't get an audience with their royal. So he's like covering her so she doesn't scream, and it's like, ugh, she just lost the second person she's ever loved. Xaden being the first, but Xaden didn't really care about her. But this guy did. No. And then his griffin dies because griffin riders, if the rider dies, the griffin dies. So, oh. And then Xaden's like, you need to step out of this, Violet. You need to be the leader. So she finally snaps out of it and thanks them for killing him. Because you had to in order for them to get an audience. Which sucks. I'm still not happy about it at all. But here was this, and then moving past that, even though I don't want to, I want to just keep talking about how they just shot someone and was like, oh, they're going to thank us for this. This is really cute, but Sigale is just laying on Terran. Because only one dragon is up, like, keeping watch, but Sigale is just laying on Terran while they sleep. I really like that. That was cute. So then they're like, we need to burn the griffin and him. And Kat's like, he wouldn't want to be apart from his griffin, so let's burn them together. And no part of him is going to stay here. We're going to take him somewhere else. And she's like, and Violet's like, I can't deny Kat anything in this moment. So they agree that they'll do that. And then Violet is talking to Xaden and be like, I don't want to be in charge. If the Drake or any of these other people won't take charge, then you can. Just like, yeah, like my judgment is so reasonable right now. The best leaders are the ones who never want the job. This is your mission because Andarna chose you. Terran chose you. You're always going to be in the front. Then she's like, then Terran chose poorly because I'm not meant to be a leader. And then he says, I've seen the moment you don't just rise to the occasion, you own it. Delevadir Umbrellan, you poison the entire triumvirate of Hotos for F's sake. Imagine what you'll become when you finally learn not to embrace the confidence, but live it. Because he knows what Violet's capable of. He knows how she'll be able to handle herself. She's just not confident enough to deal with it yet. And then he's like, you have to be better than me. You promised. And she's like, yes, I will do it. And I will cure you and we'll be together. I'll be by your side. And she's like, there's no cure for me. He finally is like saying, there's no cure for me. And that's why you have to become better than me. There's only you. Which to me sounds like Xaden's giving up. Which I don't want him to give up. But if he's giving up, this kind of sucks. Oh, I'm so scared for the ending. But I almost cried when Traeger got shot. And Kat was just screaming. It's just, oh. These were both, I was smiling and giggling for these chapters, but I also almost cried. Like it went from Sorengale 2 R's to Xaden giving up. Where do we go from here? Well, I guess I'll see you in 40 to 45. Bye. Okay, we're at 40 to 45, and I'm loving it. I still am. So, let's get going throughout this abandoned island, and we find out that Drake has named his cat that he got from those stupid islanders who killed Terran. Broccoli. He named his cat Broccoli. That's actually really cute. I really did like that. And then she's splitting everyone out. She splits her and Xaden up, which he's not very fond about, but he's with Garrick, and Garrick is like, don't worry, it's just you and me today, honey bear. I'll take care of you. Garrick is so unserious, and I kind of love him for that. And then she's talking to Xaden, like, are you alright? We're, like, in a magic area. are you okay? He's like, it's tempting, but I can do this. Even though I really, really want a siphon right now, I won't. Which is because he's struggling so hard. But then she gives him the answer he's been looking for, why they're not flying together. She's his trigger. Every time that she's in remote danger, like what happened with those guards at the other castle when he lost control with his mom, she tells him that she's a trigger, and then he says, I mean it when I say you own my soul. You're the only place I feel completely like me anymore. You're not a trigger. I'll see you tonight. She is his trigger because he cares so much about her, but he's the only place where he feels even slightly vulnerable to what he needs to be, and it's so sad. I miss him. And then Taryn is mad at her because she is separating him from Sigale. And then she's like, you'll see him tonight. You'll see her tonight. And she's like, I'll say the same when you've been unable to communicate with your mate. And he's like, we don't mate. He's like, exactly. You're so inferior to us. And Riddick and his dragon are just, they're so unserious with each other. And I kind of love that they have that relationship. They're the only ones who have that type of relationship. And I really do like it. And then they're being surrounded by other things, and she calls for Taryn, but Taryn is like, I'm busy with curmudgeoning things, because she called him a curmudgeon earlier. She's like, I'm busy with all these curmudgeon-y things, and then she yells at him. He's like, I'm coming. But then we find out that the Arids found them. They didn't find them. They're at this island, and they're here. The Arids talk to them, and Darna tells her story to them. And then they look at her tail because she's got a different tail than all of them, because they still have feather tails. They don't have the weapon tails that Andarna has. And they're like, what have you done to you? And she's like, I chose my tail. And Darna's like, upon transition, I chose this tail. And then they're mad at Violet because she bonded to a juvenile when Andarna chose to bond with Violet. And Taryn is like, you will not raise your voice at her. You will not yell at my daughter. And I really do love that. He cares about her so much, and I really do love it. And, they're all able to talk to him. The dragons, initiate communication with all of the other dragons, as well as Riddick and Violet at the same time. So they tell the story. It's not good. And it's not going well. So her and Riddick are signing back and forth. They're not talking in their heads, because then the dragons would know. Or out loud. And then it turns out Andarna telling the tale wasn't the test. Violet failed the test because she bonded with Andarna and turned her into a weapon. And she failed. And then the dragon says to Andarna, she took advantage of a vulnerable child, used your power as an instrument of warfare, forced your premature growth, and look what you became. And Andarna's like, you think I'm broken? And then she's like, we think you're a weapon. And then Darna's like, thank you, because she appreciates that compliment, even though they say it's not a compliment. Apparently they sent her there to be able to see if humans and dragons would make peace with each other and wouldn't fight each other. I'm like, that never happens. Humans never don't go to war, ever. It's, so sad. And apparently Andarna gifted Violet a very, very powerful second signet. I don't know what it is yet, but I am really interested in what it is. And then she's Violet is yelling at these dragons, being like, she's not a horror. But then the dragon to Violet's like, no, you are. She is but what you made her. She didn't have any choice in what Andarna became. Andarna had a lot of choice in what she became. She chose her tail. And then they said, there isn't a cure for the venom, but they can change. They'll confront the abominations that they've become and change. Which doesn't really sound like a cure to me. It just sounds like they are evolving, which isn't good. It's still awful. And then they're still so mad at Andarna for letting any of this happen, which I don't agree with. Andarna made her choices, and why are you still angry at her for that? And then they're like, you are magic, and yet all you seek it to use it for is violence. And Andarna is, you preach peace while only having known its privilege. You are all a disappointment to me. And then they're like, we find that on common ground. I'm like, they preach peace because they've always had it. In the continent, like Bastad and Terendur, there is no peace. They can't have that. But they're like, you know what? We're just going to say that we have it. They frustrate me. I don't like them. And they see that Xaden's a venom, and they call him an abomination. And his eyes get a little more red. And Riddick, because he's there, because there's only 4 people there at the moment. It's Violet, Riddick, Xaden, and Garrick. And Riddick sees the eyes, and he says, Vi, you've got one chance to come clean about all this. And then this is what she says after she gets the information from the Arids that there's no cure for Xaden. Whatever parts of him are missing, dead, according to the Arids, we'll live without them. He's still whole to me. Like, we can live without those parts. He's still my Xaden. And I love how much she believes that he's still the same. Because us as readers have seen the changes that he's been going through. We know that he's not the same. But I love how much faith she's putting in him. Even though I think it's a little bit misjudged, because I don't fully think he's going to be able to stop himself if something happens. So she's talking to Riddick as they're like privately figuring this out. And she's like, he's not going to channel. He's like, they always channel. Just because I like to crack jokes doesn't mean I'm not serious about reading the same shit you do. There are no accounts of initiates that just walk away from power. Because he knows that Xaden will just give in. And he wants to protect Violet, but he can't if she won't let him. And then she tells Riddick, I know I have to find them, whether they're in some forgotten book or some dark wielder's head, because I've lost Liam and now Traeger and my mother to this war. I'm not giving up on the man I love. Because she has lost so much because of this. She won't give up Xaden, which I can see is completely fair, of not wanting to give up the one person you have left. And then she says to him, it's not just because I can't fathom living without him. I'm selfish when it comes to loving him, and maybe a self-destructive lightning hits, and Riddick is like, he's gonna kill me. But they're both so self-destructive when it comes to their love of each other. They're both just so like consumed with each other, and it's because one of them is gonna lose, and I don't know if I'm ready for that. So then Riddick asks her, give me a line, give me any logical line to where I can tell people about this, that we're not going to be able to save him anymore. And then she's like, I can't imagine not loving him. But then Riddick says, I never said you couldn't love him. You can still love someone after having to let them go. But please tell me there's a line where you will let him go. Because if there isn't one, it's not just him we're going to lose by. Like, ugh. And then he asks her if she would channel for him. And we remember in the last book where she thought about channeling in order to save the Ward Stone. It's just, ugh. So, no, that isn't their line, but she says, the line is, if he hurts me. If he hurts me, he's no longer Xaden, which we both know is true. If he does hurt her, it's not Xaden anymore, because Xaden fiercely protects her and would never hurt her. But we know if he hurts her, then it's over. Then they walk up to Xaden, and Xaden is like, I assume you've come to an agreement. And Riddick's like, you're not going to threaten to kill me? And then Xaden's like, I don't make empty threats. And then Riddick says, meaning you wouldn't threaten me before you kill me, or you wouldn't actually kill me? And Xaden's like, you pick. Which that sounds like a Xaden compliment. Not compliment, but comment. So that's still Xaden. And Riddick demands that she tells Rihanna, Sawyer, and Jasenia. Which... But it's because the people that know about Xaden, which are Violet, Xaden, Garrick, Bodhi, and Imogen, they would protect Xaden more than Violet. Which is true because they've known Xaden longer. But he wants people who would protect Violet against Xaden. And then they're like, we need people that will protect her after if you turn. And he's like, when I turn, because Xaden doesn't think that he'll be able to stop it. And Riddick agrees with that. He's like, when you turn, they're gonna come after her because the easiest way to kill Xaden is to kill Violet. And everyone knows it. Which I'm so scared because if Xaden turns and Dane's dad finds out and all of the generals up there find out, they most likely will try and kill Violet because if they can kill their most dangerous weapon of the Venom, which would be Xaden if he turns, killing Violet seems like the logical option. So that's kind of scary. And then he says, just to be clear, that strike up there wasn't, us. I mean, it was us. I pissed her off, but it wasn't us, if you know what I'm saying. And Xaden's like, I'm well aware. First off, because I trust Violet. And second, and he looks at Riddick up and down, he's like, it wasn't a big enough strike. Because their strikes when they're together is just so big. But no, it wasn't big enough. Oh, I really loved that. That made me chuckle. Let's see. And then Xaden is like, I'm the worst possible choice for you. So yeah, the abomination comment is stinging a little bit because the Rid called him an abomination. He's like, yeah, that still stings because I'm the worst possible thing for this mission for my country, for you. So he's moping a little bit. And she's like, let me know when you're done brooding and we'll see how big my next strike is. Until then, we're flying home tomorrow. Because they failed their mission, but she still is at least content with him, even after everything. So that's good. Then Riddick and Violet, they're home and they see Rihanna and they hug each other. And then Riddick's like, we needed you on that trip. Violet was out of control. She kicked the queen's ass, poisoned Xaden's mom and all three of the heads of state, but secured us an army. And then Rhea's like, what did you do? Oh, not much. Put a couple out of the fires, punched a cook. But it's so good to have the squad back. I love the squad. It's great. And then General Atos comes in to Kat and says, good news, you're one step closer to your throne. We find out that Serena is still alive. Serena didn't die, which is her sister who was first in line after her. Because it is the Viscount Collector is what I call him. The Viscount, Serena, and then Kat. And then the queen is still the queen, so there's that. But then we find out that the reason he said that is because the queen is dead and the Viscount is now in charge. Which isn't good. So there's that. So they're back in their lessons again, learning all the things they need to. And it turns out the Venom are targeting information that they know. Turns out they have to keep information closer to the vest because too many people know the information, which means they have spies in their spies in their mists. And then we find out that Threpanine, the Venom with the silver hair, who's Violet and can wield lightning, can wield within clouds and stop the organic lightning from hitting people. And Violet thinks, theoretically, I could probably do that as well, but I'm not strong enough to do that yet. And then they're like, so what should we do about this problem that is now happening? And then Rihanna, even though it hurts her to say it, we have to send Violet out. Sorrengail's the only one who could stop them. They just don't need to know that Violet's there. We have to move Violet. Violet has to be a better wielder than this person in order for us to win, because Violet's the key, which kind of sucks. Then we get the crew back together. They're going to go see Jasenia, and Sawyer's so happy to see Jasenia. And he's still concerned about flying again, but he's figured out a way to get on the dragon. Well, not get on. The get on is what he's worried about. He's found a way to stay on, but get on is what he's worried about. But they go somewhere private, and Riddick says to Violet, "You tell them or I will." And she finally lets them know that Xaden is slowly turning venom. And Rihanna's like, "Talk right now." So we're there. And I will come back at 50, which means I have 20 chapters left. I have this much of the book left. What's gonna happen here, but we'll see. But I'm really enjoying it. Bye. Okay, we're back with 45 to 50, and oh my gosh, I'm scared. Because I only have 16 chapters left after this. So I'm scared because it's kind of happy right now, and I have less than 100 pages to go. So no, I think I have a little more than 100. No, I think I have exactly 100 left, so I'm nervous. But the first one is an excerpt at the top. "I think I started to fall for you the night in the tree when I watched you with the marked ones, but I began tumbling the day you gave me Terran's saddle. You have some self-serving excuse, but the truth is you're kinder than you want people to know, maybe kinder than you know. Recovered correspondence of Cadet Violet Sorrengail to His Grace Lieutenant Xaden Ryerton, 16th Duke of Terendier." But I really loved this. It starts with her having a nightmare with the sage who Xaden killed in the last battle the day he turned venom. And he says, "Just submit, come to me, accept where you belong, and you'll find freedom like no other." Like, why do they still want her so much? I'm still confused. Like, because half the reason I thought is because they wanted a lightning wielder, but they already have one. So now I'm confused as to why they want her, like, at all. But like the way her dream ends is she gets stabbed with the sword of Terendier. Like, and if that's not a foreshadowing where Xaden tries to stab her, I don't know what is, because I'm scared now. I don't like it. Let's see. So they're doing this new maneuver. Well, Xaden's teaching them. And then she's like complaining to Terran. It's like, "I kind of wish you were a griffin so we could sit this one out." And Terran's like, "I kind of wish I set out a thrashing 2 years ago." No, you don't, Terran. You love Violet. You love her. And then they're doing this maneuver. She can't do it again because she can't do those types of moves. And she's like, "We can't do that to Terran." And Terran's like, "We will. It just won't look like that. It'll look different, but it'll still be the same thing." And then Xaden's jealous again because Bodhi does it perfectly, and she says in the bond, "I forget just how nearly perfect Bodhi is at everything." And Xaden's like, "He's my cousin. Of course he's exceptional." And she's like, "Just like you, but without the arrogance. Maybe I fell for the wrong." And he's like, "It'd be a shame to kill my last living relative." Of course, she doesn't bring up he's got 2 half brothers, but I love jealous Xaden. He's so fun. I really do love it. And as she's doing the maneuvers, Xaden is like in her head, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Busy right now, love." And like she shuts the bonds and she does it. And it's basically they're recreating what they did in thrashing, where like she falls, he like picks her up with his hand and like throws her, and she'll have to land on his back and actually like saddle herself, which is so cool. I really do like that. And then as he's throwing her, he's like, I trust you can find your seat. And he says it like with such pride now, because he's like, I know you can keep your seat now. It's, because he spent so long making sure that there would be a way for her to be able to keep her seat, which I really love. And when she gets back on the ground, Xaden is like, I effing love you. And she's like, how could you not? I'm awesome. I love confident Violet. And she gives him like this armband with like a turret of the Ryerson house, which I really love it. And it's for his birthday, and it's so cute. And he's still brooding. And she's like, just come find me when you're ready to accept. I'm not going to leave you, which he still hasn't accepted because he still thinks she should. And then Felix is here because he's here to help teach Violet how to channel her signet because she's not trusting Car anymore. And she just tells Xaden, you could have went back to Arisha. Because if the wards are weakening, you should be there. And he's like, I don't think we would have had a month. I don't think I would have been able to wait. So he's like spending as much time as he can around her, even if he's not talking to her, because he's scared of how little time he has left. It's so sad. And I love this one. This is an excerpt from another chapter. When this is over, we should take as much leave as they can give us, spend it in Orisha, figure out what life is supposed to look like without the daily threat of death. You can govern the province you love during the day, then slide into bed with me at night. Or I can always join in the assembly chamber. You do your best work on that throne, which he does. My house, my throne, my woman. Yes, he does. Recover correspondence of Cadet Violet Zorgale to his grades Lieutenant Xaden Ryerson, 16 Youth of Terendia. But I really did love that. Then the stupid Prince Holden is like, you will not open your borders at all. And then he's like, I will open my borders. I am the Duke. This is my province. I govern here. And then Riddick is like, oh, he's using his wing leader voice. And then she's like, because he's like, Terendia is going to take in civilians. And she just says, oh, I love you, Xaden. And she's like, even if I'm about to start another revolution? And she's like, especially then. And then Halden is like being even worse. And he's like, what are you going to do if I tell you no, Xaden? And he's like, he loses the humanity again. And he says, you're a prince, not the prince. Bring your troops into Terendia, and Auric will find himself first in line to the throne. That was such a good threat. I really, kind of loved that. That was good. Really good. It's just, he's on thin ice again, and she has to be able to calm him down. She gets him calm again, which is good. And then we find out that Lynx, a first year, has manifested his signet, and it's shadows. And Xaden's supposed to be the only shadow wielder in a generation. Yet we have two now. And he's like, because Magic knows that he's fading, so they're getting another protector, which will be this Lynx guy. Which I'm nervous if that's going to cause people to start making connections as why there's two shadow wielders instead of one. Because it's not good. So I'm just so nervous. And then he's like, I'm gonna turn Violet, there's no point. So then she gives him basically her ultimatum. What happens to me if you turn? What happens to Taryn and Sigale if you give in? Do Venom get once a week visits? Does the bond survive you turning? Does ours? You and I are tethered for life, Xaden, Ryerson. Am I expected to turn with you? Is that the only way we keep our dragons alive if you give up? Ugh. And then he's like, the man you love isn't always in control of his facets anymore. We have to accept that. Ugh, it's so sad. Because she's fighting for everything and he's not trying because he doesn't think he's strong enough. I mean, I get why, it's just, ugh. And then Lowen comes up, who's basically his surrogate dad, is like, oh, Xaden is in charge of running a country. He can't be pulled around with romantic tanglements. And Violet is like, Xaden comes first for me. Just so we're clear, but it'll never stop being about the woman he fell in love with in order to morph into whatever doormat you think he requires. We're already balanced because we're so strong for ourselves and to each other. He needs me to be me, and I'm telling you, I promise to keep Terendir safe, but not at his expense. It's just, of course, he doesn't really buy that, because he's like, you need to be what Terendir needs, and he can't love you and Terendir at the same time, which he can't, but he also chose Violet over Terendir, so sorry. Oh, Sawyer is finally learning to mount his dragon again, and he doesn't want his dragon to feel dishonored, so he figured out another way to mount it. But then she is like, Taryn, do you feel dishonored when I have to mount you a specific way? And he's like, I am the second largest dragon on the continent, a revered warrior. My tails are legendary. My mate unparalleled. My feats unmatched. And she's like, you didn't answer the question. He's like, it would take a great deal more than a change of posture to dishonor me. And she's like, but you never lowered yourself before. What about for Nolan? And he's like, we do not speak of the one who came before, which makes me more interested on the one who came before, the guy who saved Brandon's life. I'm very interested. But finally, Sawyer is able to mount his dragon, and he's happy that he's finally on his dragon, and I love that for him. He needs it so much. He needed that boost. So they're going to Arisha for their lessons that they have over there. And it's she's about to she doesn't know where she wants to go because she's not sure if Xaden wants her in his room anymore since he's brooding. So Bodhi says, well, first she says, it's just I don't have a room here and I'm not sure where I should sleep. And he's like, you have a room. It hasn't moved. It's his room, I corrected him. And he's all broody. And he's like, we're home, Vi. Act like it. And sleep in your bed or he'll just brood more, which is true. He can't choose what he wants. Does he want Violet to stay away from him? Because he'll brood more that way. If he wants her to stay with him, he'll just brood more that way. He needs to pick which direction he wants. And then the Blade of Orisha's there, and it's missing a stone, which is new. It hasn't been missing a stone before. And I have a theory, because I saw something. I'm not sure what it's supposed to mean, but I have a theory, and I'm scared if that comes true. So if it comes true, I'll let you know if it even comes true in this book. And then Brendan finally comes in and is like, I can't mend him, Vi. Because Xaden told Brendan. And apparently he's not freaking out. I would have thought Brendan would have freaked out about the venom, but he's not. But he's trying. Xaden is trying, and I love that. He's trying everything he can, and I love that. He's finally being he's not giving up. He's brooding, but he hasn't given up. He's trying. Oh, I love that. And then Xaden's finally home. He comes in the door to her, and she pulls him through, and they're together again. And then he says, I launched for Trevendon and ended up in our home. Or at least it will be when you graduate and we're both assigned here. He's talking about the future, he actually has one. That they'll be together in the future and he doesn't turn. Oh, I love that. I hope it comes true. Because they need this simple, time. They need this. And then she's like, we can curl up in our bed and just sleep if that's what you want, but please stop running from me. He's like, I definitely don't want to sleep, but I don't think I can run from you anymore. So finally, they're back together. Then he says, my control when it comes to you is an illusion. You are the temple from which I worship. The temple from which I worship? I want a guy to say that to me. That is beautiful and romantic, and I really do love that. And then he asks her if he has the serum, And he's like, how many daggers do you have? Like, he wants her to be fully prepared if he turns, for her to just end him right now. And it's, ugh. But she's like, I have 2. He's like, nope, now you have 4. And like puts the 4th one here. Oh. I'm like, ugh. And then he's like, killing each other is kind of like our thing. We're toxic in that way. He's like, yeah, you're right. You threw daggers at my head. He's like, I threw them near your head. There's difference, like from the first book, where she just threw them like right next to his head. Ugh, I really loved that. And then she's like, put my conduit in my hand, let's go. And he's like, I don't want the conduit. I want you at full power. I want us to lose control. Well, I want you to lose control when we do this, because he knows that he can't, but ugh. And she's like, I choose you. I see every part of you, Zayden. The good, the bad, the unforgivable. That's what you promised, and that's what I want. All of you. I can handle myself against you, even if I have to. And finally, he gives in, and they finally are together again and doing it, which they so needed. They so needed this. And that sentence that I just said, the one where she's like, the good, the bad, the unforgivable. That's what he said. I am the good, I am the bad, and the unforgivable. And you said you love me in spite of that. I'm like, yes, that's what he said, and that's what she does. And then he's like, oh, you think I'm so attractive? And she's like, yes, well, the fuck aware I am. And he's like, and she's like, have you seen you? Because you were very attractive. Oh, I love that. And then she's like, you're mine. And he's like, what? And then she says, I complete awe I feel when I remember you're mine. That by some miracle, I'm the one who gets to touch you. And he's like, it hasn't worn off for me yet either. Like, oh, the love that they have for each other and the love that they share is just, it's beautiful, and I love it, and I want it to last, but I know it won't, and I'm scared. And then they finish, and he didn't lose control when he did it, because his method of control was holding on for 76 days, which is twice as long as Jack. And he thought if he could control himself, then he'd be able to stop it. But we're going through it, and then she's like, are we going somewhere? He's like, the bathtub, the dresser, then the bed. And they're like, yeah, excellent plan. That's a great plan. Let's do all that. Oh, but they so needed this. It's been such a long time. They so needed this. But now I'm scared because I've got this much left, and I'm not sure happiness will be in here. There'll just be sadness. And I don't want it. But here we go. See you when I get to 55. Bye. Okay, we're back with 50 to 55, and I cried, okay? Like, this was the first cry, and it happened in one of these chapters. And I don't want to talk about it. I mean, I will talk about it, but it's just, ugh. So she's having a nightmare again that she needs to save Indarna because the Venom want her. Then she wakes up, and then Zayden's having a nightmare, so she used to wake him up. But I love the way that, like, they're able to just calm each other down. Like, he wakes up and he's freaking out, and she's like, we're in our room. He's like, we're in our room. He's like, you're here. She's like, I'm here. Like, the way they calm each other down is sweet. I really liked that. And then we find out that she can be in his dream. Like, she can be in his dream. Like, the dream that she was just having, that's his dream. And then apparently the Venom want Zayden to deliver Violet, which is a little weird. But he's like, it's my nightmare and I only have one of you, because he's not going to lose Violet over anything. And the dream walking ability she has is basically an eccentric, which means if they find her, no matter how powerful of a weapon she is, because they can't shield her when they're sleeping, no matter how powerful a weapon is, they will kill her. Which is, it's just crazy. And apparently a horde's attacking, a horde of a horde of Wyvern and Venom are attacking. So then they have to go fight. Zayden's in charge because it's in Terendir. So he's sending out everyone that he knows can do it. And then she gets up to Brennan and Zayden like, I'm your best form of defense. You have to put me on the wall. And Brendan's like, absolutely not. But Xaden is like, sadly, but he says, we have to do this. You're on the wall, Cadet Sorengale. Which, ugh. And then right before they leave, well, first he's talking to Bodhi, saying, Bodhi, you have to stay back. And Bodhi's like, why? Because I can't fight? And they're like, no, Bodhi, you're first in line now. If anything happens to Xaden, you're ruling Trendir. We just got our title back. We're not going to lose it. And then he tells them to keep an eye on Eric as well, because he's here. Which, they have 3 people in line of succession here. They've got Eric, who's second in line after Halden. Then we've got Kat, who's second in line after her sister Serena. And then we've got Bodhi, who's second in line after Xaden. So it's not good. But like as they're like getting ready to leave, he's like, I love you more than the city. Don't die defending it. And then they kiss, and then she says to him, I love you. Stay out of the clouds, off the ice, and come back to me whole. It's, oh, the way they love each other is just, I love it so much. So they're fighting, but it's in the dark. She's like, oh, we gotta love fighting in the dark. And Taryn is like, you have a solution to that. And she's like, oh yeah, right. And then makes the lightning come down. That was great. Turns out that, what's her name? I forget her name. Telatharine? The girl wyvern, not girl wyvern, the girl venom who wants Violet. She's here. So, we gotta deal with that. And Arik also told them to protect the temple, which seems a little weird to me, but they did. And then we find out that Telepathine, who's the girl, the venom girl, she used to be a priestess of this specific temple, and they're calling like her Hetrick, which now I'm super interested in that. Then it's coming, like they're fighting and stuff. She's protecting Rihanna and Ferg, which is her dragon. But then Xaden finally comes down and like saves her, because the wyverns just suddenly start falling from the sky. And then Sigale sees Taryn and is like, you let this happen to him? Because Taryn got injured. And then he's like, you let this happen to him? And Taryn is like, she bears no responsibility. Oh, and then Xaden is like, she refused to hold her position when she felt the wound. She was like, yeah, she's going to go see her mate. Oh, I love their relationship. It's so fun. But also, the ward stones have been powered up. That's why the wyverns fell. And the Arids are here. Like, the Arids showed up. Well, only one of them. This, one at the top from Journal of Captain Lilith Sorengale gave me so much. Like, oh, I loved this. Asher returned today. God's help us if anyone finds out. I'm not sure I'll ever forgive him what he's done to her. And we find out later that he basically dedicated her to one of the gods. Which, apparently you're not supposed to do to children anymore. But he did it to her. It's why her hair grows in silver and stuff. So. And then I love, because the Arid is still insulting Andarna. And Sigale and Taryn, like, basically circle her like her parents. She's like, she's a credit to our riot, says Sigale. It's like, they're like protecting her like her parents, and I really love that. And then, this is where I started crying. This Arid asks Andarna to come with him and break the bond that she has with Violet. Ugh. Just break it. Because she's allowed to break it because Taryn bonded first. She created a bond that wasn't supposed to be there, so she can break it. Ugh, but I started to cry here because she leaves. But he says if she ever comes back after she learns what she needs to from the Arids, she could reforge the bond. But it's just, ugh. So I started crying. So then she leaves and she breaks the bond, and it's, I can't. And she just leaves, and then Violet basically just goes catatonic. And, like, because you're losing something that's part of you. Because literally at the top, it says, I didn't tab this one, but still, it says, no rider has ever survived the loss of their dragon. I can't imagine wanting to. Like, it hurts to lose your dragon. It's just awful. But she's basically catatonic in her and Xaden's room, and everyone's trying to get her out, and Terran leaves the bond that she has with him wide open, giving her like so much access to Terran, more than she's ever had with him before. So she can hear the conversation with the elders about Andarna leaving, and him bickering with Sagail over what he calls her excessive hovering, and all privy to the lecture that he gives Xaden, making sure that I eat. Which I love. Like, he's so protective of her. Like, even after everything, he still wants her to be okay. And just, ugh. And then Mira finally shows up and is here for Violet to be like, you have to get up, Violet. So finally she kind of does. And then Brennan is like at the door, like banging it, being like, you let me in. My sisters are in there. And finally, I mean, of course he says, would you prefer I kill him? And she's like, just let him in. He's like, fine. He lets him in. So it's the siblings and Xaden. And then she's getting out of bed. She's finally, like, trying to be herself again. But it's kind of hard when you're losing and missing a part of yourself. But then her siblings start arguing like they always do. But she, like, feels guilty because she hasn't been able, like, to help Xaden with basically the treason he's doing by letting people into Durendir. But he's like, you've been breathing. That's enough for me. Oh, I love him so much. So then he helps her. He gets her in the bath. He helps her out. And he's like, here's the question. Do you need me to take care of you, or do you need me to kick your ass? I'm fully capable and willing to do both. And she's like, yeah, I know. She wants him to take care of her, but she needs him to kick her ass so that she can finally get off her butt and do something, even though it's so painful. So that's what she says. Her siblings are fighting again about, like, they think that Violet was dedicated because they heard it from so many people. They're like, why would mom and dad do this? They, like, don't believe it. And then Brendan has this weird scar on his, like a rune scar on his hand. I'm confused about what this is. I just thought I would note it because I'm confused. I want to know what it is. But so Mira thinks that Violet could turn venom at any moment because that's what the priest said from about being dedicated and stuff. And they tried to fix her by giving her up to the god Dune. And then Brendan's like, you never needed fixing. And then her dad thought she needed fixing, not her mom. Because her mom says, I don't know if she'd be able to forgive her dad for this. Oh, it was just so painful. And then Xaden, when Mira is like, just looking back and forth, being like, she's unsure if Violet will turn venom or not. Xaden finally says, well, first Mira says like this thing that she heard. She says the heart that beat for you or within you would do the wrong thing for the right reason, reaching for the unspeakable power and turn dark. So then Xaden is like, stop looking at her like that. I'm the problem. It's me. And is like, I'm the venom. Ugh. So then Mira tries to kill her, and he's like, I don't appreciate blades being lifted towards Violet. And then she just leaves. She's not going to tell anyone, as Xaden's been able to, like, to check out. And she just leaves. I mean, I get it, because they still keep secrets from her. Brendan and everyone else, like, they still keep secrets from her. But, and she just leaves. And it's so sad. But I've got 11 chapters left, so we'll see what happens. I'll see you back when I get to chapter 60. Okay, bye. Okay, I'm at 60 now, but it's 55 to 60 right now, and these are like real good. I kind of love them. Okay, let's go. So she's at class again. It's fine. Nothing really serious. Let's see. Oh, and Bodhi is arguing with Xaden when they come back in because Xaden still has given up partially. Not enough to give up on Violet, but knows that eventually he will turn. So he's training Bodhi to take over for him. But Bodhi hates it. Bodhi's like, you're giving up on yourself, and I won't let you. Ugh. And it's so sad. Ugh. And then there's a couple letters that Xaden got because he's Duke. And Brendan is like, oh, and I would love to know why the king of Develvi referred to my sister as your consort in his last offer. And we're like, we know, because that's what he called her when they visited. Oh, I loved that. And they're like, it's a long story. So they talk, and Xaden's like, I'm still gonna fight for you, even if we know it's gonna end badly. And then she's like, do you want to go to the roof, just hang out? And he's like, I have a better idea. And he looks at the throne, and I'm like, oh yes. Ugh. So they're having another dream again, but this time Violet realizes she's dreamwalking and basically separates from Xaden, so they're both in the dream. And apparently, I think this Venom can also dreamwalk, because he was able to immediately know that she lost her Arid and Darna, and knows she's already a dreamwalker. So, I mean, it still thinks Xaden is going to bring her, and Xaden's like, absolutely not. But then they're woken up by Garrick, who says he just got away from one of the Venom, and they have Mira. They have Violet's sister. Ugh, it's not good. And she's like, come or she dies. He says, bring Bodhi and Violet or she dies. But then we figure out later that it said, bring your brother Xaden. Which we all know, because Venom only referred to each other as brothers, that it means bring Jack. So they're all arguing about which plan they should do. Like, help as many civilians as possible, save Mira. They have to pick one. And then she's like, I'm going to go save Mira. And Zane's like, I know, I'm going with you. And then she's like, telepathy doesn't want to kill me, or she already would have. He's like, that's what I'm worried about. There are worse things than dying. He thinks turning Venom is worse than dying, so he thinks that his soul is already forfeit. And I'm like, oh, come on, Xaden. Ugh. And then all of these other people are like, cadet stand in formation. Why is there a cadet in here talking about Violet? And Xaden's like, she stands with me at my side. And he's like, remember that. And then Brendan's like, I'm starting to understand that consort missive. Ugh, I loved that. And then Xaden realizes, she said brother. And then we're all like, but he can't say it in front of everyone. She means Jack, not everything else. And Brendan is like, being a leader requires tough choices. So Violet, you pick, because Xaden will follow your lead. So she thinks about it. This isn't about Mira. This is about her and Telepathy. And she's like, we have to kill her. And Brendan's like, all right, we'll do that. But you have to stick to the plan, Violet. You can't go off course like you normally do. But of course we know Violet's probably going to go off course. So I don't know what that. It's a trap. I mean, it's obviously a trap. And she's like, Taryn, we know it's a trap, right? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, is Sigil good with Xaden being here? She's like, if she wasn't, she wouldn't be in the air. And she's like, do you think we should have accepted Mira's death as a sacrifice? And he's like, if I did, you'd still be in Risha and you would be walking. Like, if I didn't believe in the cause that we're fighting for to save your sister, then we wouldn't be here. Which I love that about him. Like, he is so protective over Violet's family. And then they get there, and Bodhi's here, and Brendan. The people that are here right now are Xaden, all of their dragons, obviously. So Xaden, Violet, Brendan, and Bodhi. And she's like, you didn't bring who we thought we said to bring. She's like, I brought my brothers. What'd you expect? Because Brendan is Violet's brother, and he considers Violet his family. And Bodhi is basically like his brother, even though they're cousins, because they were like raised together. Oh, I thought that was so funny. And they're like, you're gonna turn. And she's like, no, I'm not. And then she says, oh, we're liars, number one, and slits Mira's throat. Like, Mira is dying. So Brennan and Violet, like, run over to Mira, like, immediately. And, like, Xaden is, like, protecting them and making sure that they're okay. And, like, Taryn is like, they die right now because they're also chaining Ten, who is Mira's dragon. And Taryn is, like, not okay with that. And then, apparently, we see Thort, and that means Sloane's here, because Thort's her dragon. And she's like, oh my gosh, Liam, I'm so sorry, because she can't protect her if she's here. And then Kath is here. Dane followed her. Dane was like, I'm not letting her out of my sight. Let's see. And they brought Jack to see if it would help. It didn't. So Garrick has to, like, basically leave again because he can do the fast travel. And, of course, Dane later is like, you have to explain to me how that happened. But Sloane's here. And Dane is like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then Violet goes to Sloane because Brennan's running out of ability to be able to mend her back. So she goes to Sloane, you have to help. Because if she siphons from someone, she could give it to someone else. So if she siphons, Dane is like, I'm the only one here who doesn't need to use my signet today. So she goes over to Dane. Well, Dane says, you put your hand right here. And you give it to Brendan. So Brendan can do it. And she does, even though she's a little nervous. And then Dane says, eyes up here. Pull from the excess you feel from me and push into the deflect into him. You're not a weapon of destruction. You're not Venom. You're the artillery of power. Choose to flow through your life. And then he says, I'm not going to hurt you. Hides, I know. Does he have a crush on Sloane? Because if so, I'm kind of good with that. Him having a crush on Sloane? I'd be kind of okay with that. And we find out that Eric is, like, going a different way. We don't know why he's going a different way. And I'm confused as to why he's going a different way. What does Arik have planned? And then Sloane, like, leaves Violet a package that's addressed to Eric. And I'm so confused about what it is. But I hope we find out. And then, apparently, there's no mark on the back of Brennan's neck where there should be, considering he has one on his hand. And there isn't one on Dane's wrist either. Like, when Sloane siphoned, there wasn't a mark. So that's a little weird for her to see, at least. I'm not entirely sure what it means yet, but we'll figure it out. And now they separate. Xaden and Sigale go, and Bodhi and Violet are just stuck here, and then it says they've got a problem, so... what's going to happen in the last 6 chapters? I'm a little scared. But we'll see, and I'll come back with my final thoughts at the end. Okay, bye. 60 to the end, and what the hell is happening? I cried twice. Like I knew I would, but like, come on. Alright. We're in the stuff. And she's trying to get Taryn to take 10 away, which is Mira's dragon. And she's like, do not lecture me on the laws of my kind. You will learn how comfortable I am with breaking them. Like, he's so comfortable breaking any of the laws if it regards to Violet, and it's just, I don't know. I don't really know. And then Bodhi and her are fighting against, what's-her-face. We don't need to talk about her because she's not that important. Well, she's important, but she's not that important. The Venom. And she's trying to, like, convince Bodhi, I think, to turn. Because she's like, tell me, do you not grow tired of being a less powerful version of your cousin? Which, he doesn't fall for at the moment, but I've got questions for later. And then we think that Bodhi's signet is working and he's able to stop her from using hers. But apparently she wasn't a lightning wielder. She's basically their mother. Violet's mother. She's a storm wielder. That's why we didn't know. She's the answer to their mother. Which isn't good. It makes me nervous. And then she's almost caught by her, and she's about to, like, kill Violet, but then she's like, yeah, I don't have to save everyone, but she will. And then we get into Rihanna's POV, which I was surprised with. I didn't know we would get Rihanna. But I really like her. She's good. I like her dragon. There's not really much about her, but I did like it. And she's sad because she can't be like, she wants to go fight with Violet, but she knows she can't. She has to help the civilians because that's what their job is. The squad's job is to help the civilians, even though she wants to protect Violet. And then she's finally not doubting herself and her orders, and I really like that. She's learning to come into her confidence in being squad leader. We're back to Violet. And then, right, like, out through everything, she just hears violence. Like, Xaden, he hasn't called her violence in a while, and I missed it. And she just says that she's all right, and like he goes back to fighting, and it's just, I missed it. And then as she's about to like get drained by what's her face, Claws grab her, and she's like, Taryn, and then it's like, not quite. It's like Gale came and got her. And she's like, you have to be with Xaden. What are you doing? She's like, yeah, I'm gonna be. And then she just drops her on Taryn, being like, she's yours now. Oh, I loved that. And then as they're flying towards Telepathine, there's like this giant wyvern who's even bigger than the biggest dragon that they've got. And Taryn is like, this will be my finest kill to date to kill that. Ugh. And then she's like asking, is Sigel alright? And he's like, she's withdrawn from me. She's not talking to me right now. And then Violet says, it's probably because she doesn't want you worried. She's like, then it has the opposite effect. Because if I can't talk to her, I'm real worried. So then they are flying for Telepathine. And then we get into Imogen's POV, which I have a feeling in the next book she's going to be a very, very, very important character. So the first one is a little note at the top. It says, F you, my daughter and I will meet Malik with clean consciences. Will you or your daughters be able to say when they come for you? The last words of Dracula Cardinto, redacted, which is Imogen's mom, who died in the rebellion. I really do like her dragon. Her dragon is fun too, but I love Imogen. She's one of my favorites, I think. And then she's like being mad at her dragon because her dragon almost threw her off, and her dragon's like, did you fall off? No, I did not bond a whiner. Like, they all like talk to their riders the same way Taryn kind of talks to Violet, except Taryn is more like sassy about it. So I love that. And apparently she also has a second signet because she's able to do something. I'm not entirely sure what it is because she saves Dane with it. I'm sure we'll get an explanation later in another book, but I was really confused about it, so. And then Quinn, Imogen's best friend, is stabbed with a venom blade. And she wants her to tell her girlfriend Jax that she loves her and that she's leaving, and it's, I cried during this part. And I don't even I didn't know Quinn that well. I don't know why I cried. I think it's because of this line, because it's like their memory of conscription day. It's like, hi, I'm Quinn Hollis. I've decided we should be friends. And then Imogen is like, you do realize we're about to cross the walkway of death? And she's like, well, it might be a short friendship, but we'll make it a good one. Oh, I hate it. I hate it so much. And then Garrick's here, and he's here to help her. And he's like, I'm not leaving you. Because they both, I think, I know that Imogen has feelings for Garrick, because we find that out in the first book. And I think Garrick has feelings for Imogen. They just won't let them know it yet, so. Then there's this, we're back in Violet for 64. And this one is something at the top. A gift from one servant of Dune to another. I must warn you, only those touched by the gods shall wield their wrath. I will pray to her that she need to use it to avoid reacquainting herself with the other who carries her favor. Her path is still not set. Recovered correspondence of High Priestess of Desiree to His Royal Highness Cadet Auric Greycastle, Prince Camelin of Navir. So, there's that. And it actually comes in handy. And Taryn is still so worried about Sigale, and it's, ugh. And then as they're about to die, she, like, yells to Taryn, "You've been the gift of my life." And Taryn says, "It's not over yet, Silver One." Ugh. And then the package that Sloane gave her, it's, "For when you lose yours, strike in the dark, Violet." And we get the same message we got at the beginning of the chapter, but it's from, like, Auric. And apparently, Auric's signet he's basically like Malgriv, who is the, what's his name? Like the big commander, that guy who can see the outcomes of battle, except he can just see the outcomes of everything, which is why he knew that he would have to do these certain things, why he brought in those reinforcements, why he knew that Violet would need to stack. Like, he knows these things, which I find so interesting. And then Trefethine says, "How easy was it to catch the pair of you?" Meaning Taryn and Sigale are both, like, trapped in nets, and it's not good. Violet is working on getting him out, but Sigale is stuck. And then Xaden blasts forward, meaning he has too much power now, and he's started channeling quite a bit. But then she whispers, "I love you," and she can't, since she realizes she can't save Xaden, but she can kill Terapathir, and she does. And then Antarna's back! I don't know when she came back, but she's back, and she connects with Violet again, and it's great. But now we're back in Xaden, and he is so broken at the moment, because this is right before he channels. They trapped Sigale, and that was the one person who stuck with him. And it says, "She was the first to choose me, to elevate me above all others, the first to see the ugly side of me and accept it. Every single person in this effing canyon will die before they remove a single one of her scales." Like, he cares about Sigale. And that's why he lets it loose, because they were going to kill her. And then there's a new brother. Someone who knew that Xaden was a Venin. So, it's either Garrick or Bodhi. That's my guess. Garrick or Bodhi, or maybe even Brendan. It's one of those three, because it's a guy. They say brother. And it's someone who knew that he was Venin. So maybe even it's Sawyer or Riddick. Like, it could be any one of those people who knew they were Venin and knew that he struggled with it, because he says that this person knew that he was struggling. So, I don't know who it is, but... And then Sigale's, like, yelling at him, "Do not lose yourself. Do not give in to this one." And he's like, "There's no other way. I have to." And he does. And then he hears Violet say, "I love you." And that stops him. Like, that one emotion, the love that he has for her. So he grips onto, like, that final piece of his soul and holds it for Violet. And it's, And then he asks Sigale if he's going to leave, or she's going to leave him. And he said, "I'm not going to leave you." And they want to do this interesting thing that I don't know what they need to do, but they need Violet's help with it and Taryn's help, and I'm confused. And I'll be confused for 2 years because I don't get an answer. But the wards are up again. And he's like, "That's good, bad, F. I don't even know what I am." And then Sigale says, "Hers." Like, to ground him again with Violet. And her decision decides their fate. So I am so confused about what this means. Then we get back to Violet, who is groggy and does not understand what's going on for reasons that become clear later. And apparently, there are missing eggs from the hatching ground, but they're checking again. And Taryn needs to rest to recover from something. I don't know what, and I'm confused. And then Brendan notices something on her hand, and Garrick is also missing. So maybe Garrick's the brother? I don't know. And then we see the ring, and it's the emerald from the sword, which I knew it was probably gonna be, I knew that was gonna be turned into a ring. I just didn't know what was gonna happen here. But I knew that was probably going to be the ring because he would put something that he cares about on her. But now we're getting the ring? And this is an official blessing of your binding legal marriage to Xaden by the High Priestess of Dune's temple. And it's Xaden, so they're married. And there's one message on the outside that says, "Don't look for me, it's yours now." Meaning she's in charge now? Oh my gosh, it's crazy. He's gone, and then she turns to Imogen because she's missing like a while and she doesn't know what it is. So she goes to Imogen, she's like, "What did you do?" And then Imogen says, "What you asked of me." Meaning whatever Xaden asked her to do, because that's what they needed. Like their fate relied on one another. So whatever he asked her to do was dangerous enough that she needed her memory erased by Imogen. And she asked Imogen to do it. I don't know what's happening. I also cried when that happened too. But, well, I have to wait 2 years for this? Xaden's gone. I don't know what to do. But, this was a 5-star, like I said it would be. I loved the ending. The ending was fantastic. I loved it so much. I cried. But, yeah, if you, liked this, please like, comment, and, subscribe. Bye, everyone.